WNST, my 50th birthday, and the old Allers coming together with the new Ravens. And Bill Cole is here to talk me out of the tree this weekend and make sure that I don't drink too much in Nashville on Saturday night, right?
Maybe. I'm not sure that's the goal, but I'm happy to talk you somewhere.
Do you remember the game where Goose jumped off and got McNair to bite at the end of the game? The year we had Elvis Kerr back. Do you remember that game? It was a Monday night game.
Kind of. Yeah.
It was a Monday night game. We were the champions. It was the rematch to go back in there. They still had a good team the following year. They still had Eddie George and Mason, all those guys. That Sunday night, because the game wasn't until Monday night, I overdid it. I remember Monday in Nashville in 2001 being very, very harsh. And right. I spent a lot of mornings in Nashville that were not harsh. I mean, I've gone to a million hockey games and concerts, and I had girlfriends back there back in the day when I was a single guy. So, I mean, I spent a lot of time in Nashville, but that one, that's the one you don't want to look back on your 50th birthday and say, I should have learned my lesson then, right?
Yeah, my Nashville story of overindulgence is when we played the playoff game.
Which one? I love saying that because there have been a couple.
Right. 2000.
Oh, okay. Old school one.
Ray took the ball from Eddie George. We drove, being not the brightest. And
well, you should have gotten on my trip because I had a great trip. We had 200 people. It was awesome.
Right. Not taking any breaks. We end up getting there at like 5 a.m. Can't get into your hotel, can't do anything. We sleep in the parking lot. And
day of the game, you did that?
No, day before.
Okay, so you did have some fun. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so but the best part of the whole trip is during the game. Everyone is super nice in Nashville. At least that was my experience.
I remember everything about that game because we viewed that game on some of our bus trips, right? The Eddie George game and all that. I remember where I was sitting. I was with Kevin Eck. I was in the upper deck. I don't think I've ever been more sports excited in my life than when I realized they were going to win. Because then I realized, oh my God, they might win the Super Bowl. That's pot. They could go to Oakland and win. So that was the moment. I mean, that was. I always say that was the moment that I believed, that I really felt it, that they could win a championship. Because we never felt we didn't have a team here for 13 years, right? And before that, we had the Colts, so we didn't have a team.
You knew that year that if we put 7 on the board, the game was over. And in that game, I can remember sitting in the stands, and we're having some good nature jabbing with the Titan fans around us, but everyone was very nice, and we were well behaved, but. Somewhere in the third quarter,
worm turn.
I think it was clear
the bourbon took over.
Yeah, and there was a husband and wife sitting behind us, probably early 50s, and the woman stood up and poured her whole beer over my buddy sitting next to me.
Whoa!
And she did it in slow motion, and the husband apologized to us for the entire rest of the game. She poured the beer and walked away. And he was so apologetic, and we're kind of laughing, because, I mean, it's if we were in Pittsburgh, it would have been a fist fight, but here it was just kind of and I mean, not the nicest thing in the world to do, but they were so sad because in the third quarter, you knew we owned them. So those were great times.
Man, I've had so many experiences down there. I was there, the last great conversation I ever had with John Stedman I had in Nashville in a little barbecue stand in the airport, and every time I fly in, I think about that time because he and I took a cab to the airport with the great Harvey Myers, formerly of the Emerald Tavern as well. So good morning to Harvey, because I know he watches and listens out on the internet sometimes as well. And then they're the big wins, right? I mean, the field goal that won the game was Stover, playoff game that moved us forward. I mean, that was a hell of a trip, right? We ran buses down there. The videos of our fans stopping cabs in traffic out on 4th Street. So
right.
Crazy times we've had down there, but this is one of those ones where the Cleveland thing gets everybody scratching their head again about Flacco, about the offense, about winning, about the road, about special teams again. The Cleveland game, and I haven't thought about it a lot because it is my 50th birthday week, and I'm going to see Steely Dan, and I'm going to Nashville and selling my condo. I got things going on. Life's busy right now. But if I had to sit around and dote on the game, I mean, Sunday really sucked, and waking up at 4:00 in the morning and flying home Monday from Cleveland sucked, and sitting here at the 3-2, losing to the Cleveland Browns. I mean, there's no good way to shine that up, but you can say the Browns are a better football team, but the Ravens looked pretty pedestrian on Sunday, I thought.
Yeah, I think where the weird part was they had done enough in the weeks prior where I spent that whole game just waiting for us to win and break through, right? It was like, oh, yeah, no problem. We're going to just, 85-yard drive. We'll just punch one in here and get out of here. And I was convinced, not worried, convinced. And then
in the same way, you're convinced Roethlisberger is going to lead a drive to beat you in Pittsburgh, right?
Sure, absolutely. So the tables had turned, and I was confident, and and then they just couldn't put it together. I think it's actually probably okay. I think this is a good matchup of two good football teams, so I'm excited to watch it. I think the better Ravens team will show, and I think it'll be fun. I think we'll get out of there with a W, but that's clearly me wearing my purple glasses, so.
Well, and I have a red logo on my cup. It's Cole Roofing. This is Bill Cole joining us here. 99 years they've been doing it here in Baltimore. Better than anybody else. And they also do Fister Energy to put solar panels. It feels James Bond when I think about solar panels. But you can find Bill out on the internet, or I'll get you to him. He is one of my sports foils. And, of course, sponsors our community and charity series. Going to be talking about the game for Officer Caprio this week with Lock Ravens. So we got some good stories. You can find them all in the BuyAToyota.com audio vault and out at WNST.net. They're all sponsored, of course, by our friends at Cole Roofing, my pal Bill Cole, who is going to Nashville this weekend as we reminisce. Before I get to football wholeheartedly on this, is there anything on the baseball thing you want to say? I mean, did you watch the Red Sox eliminate the Yankees? Will you be watching baseball in Nashville this weekend when you get there out of the corner of your eye and saying, hey, are the Dodgers winning? Look at the Brewers. There's the Red Sox. There goes the Astros, and look at what they've built there. I hope someone in the warehouse is working right now. I don't see feverish efforts, out on the front, but I hope it's sort of like the duck underwater, paddling really hard under the water, right? I don't know, Bill. I'm watching the best baseball being played, and I'm wondering if it's ever going to come to my hometown again.
Yeah, so I think as much as I don't like the Red Sox, it still feels good when the Yankees lose.
Oh, it does. It's delicious, so especially when it's 16-1.
I think it's a little bit interesting because there are guys that were Orioles that you can follow. So some of that.
Here comes Zach Britton into the game, pitching to Steve Pierce. I like that. Right, that's good.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if your team disbanded and became an expansion team, and you had to distribute your players equally throughout the playoffs. They've done that.
Right. And I think that's fun. So you can root for those guys.
You love Jonathan Scope. You're all in on the Brewers. If you love Manny Machado, you're all in on the Dodgers, right?
Right.
I guess the Astros. Sure. Who do the Astros have? Oh, they just have smart people and low payroll and all that, right?
Yeah, I would just say the Astros fall into that category of they were so bad, and it's kind of neat to see them.
They have Altuve. Any team with Altuve, you have to root for, I think.
Yeah,
he's Venezuelan. Come on, one of my people. Bill Cole is here from Cole Roofing. I'm trying to talk baseball with him, but you're not watching baseball, right?
In the background, like I say, I'm rooting for the guys that used to be on our team, but beyond that, the Yankees are gone, so I'm happy.
I find when I tweet and I Facebook during these games, and I've watched a lot of baseball. I got to Cleveland last Saturday, and I was going to smell nice and shave up and go out and run around and see what the town had to offer, and I got friends that live there, all of that stuff. And instead, I sat in my room in Bloomfield Heights near the airport, and I watched baseball all afternoon and ate Cuban food. So, and got sick as a dog, by the way. But either way, I have found myself For whatever reason, because it's a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, and there's not a Phil Collins concert to go to or a Steely Dan concert to go to. But it's on, and I'm not watching hockey right now, and there's no basketball, and there's no college football. And Lord knows, on a Thursday night, these football games stink. Monday night, I did not put the Redskin game on. The baseball was more compelling before I fell asleep. So I've watched more baseball this week than I've watched since June, to be honest with you. It's sort of like baseball started all over again last week, and it's like this interesting these interesting teams in an interesting tournament. I have no idea who's going to win. I really don't. I mean, the Brewers could win the World Series, sure. Why not? I watched them play last week. I don't think they are. I mean, I think it'll be like Dodgers-Red Sox, which would be kind of cool because that's never happened before. But I'm not sure who's going to win. We're obviously sure the Red Sox are the best team, right? They sort of proved that throughout the course of the year, but don't sleep on the Astros and their pitching.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, you get into football season, and Saturday and Sunday there's so much to consume that it does leave you wanting during the week. And until college basketball kind of kicks off, I mean, that's how I landed on the baseball game last night, was just kind of like when I finally got a chance to sit down and, you're kind of clicking through. And
well, dude, you don't stumble on TBS, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you don't stumble on FS1. I mean, I'm not being mean. I got 865 channels of TV here, right? I mean, literally. Right. I don't stumble onto anything, and even my wife, we don't surf through what's on Spike TV or Health Channel or, we surf through and we pick what we want. And generally, when it's not a sporting event, it's a food thing or it's a, how to make your house nicer or flip it or, that's the stuff my wife watches or something health-oriented. But I'm compelled by playoff baseball when it's good, whether it's the Braves or not, whether it's Nick Markakis or Kevin Gausman or not, the bunting. I woke up in New York last Wednesday, and that was the day they played the A's, and I had my show last Wednesday night, of course, with Nick Boyle up at Buffalo Wild Wings in Bel Air, and we swabbed, and it was fun, and Carl Delmont's folks came out from Fremont. We had a good night, and the Caps raised the banner that night, but it's not like I was dying to stay in New York to watch the A's play the Yankees. I've been down that river. I've been to 50 World Series games. I mean, maybe I'm just getting old. I turned 50 this week, but there is something about watching it in the comfort of my own house with a beer, and I can fall asleep on it, which I did the Red Sox-Yankees game when it was 16-1, that I've enjoyed that part of it. I don't pine for the Orioles. I do wonder out loud, what are they doing tonight to get here? I wonder if John Angelos is watching the game tonight. I wonder where Brady Anderson is having a grapefruit juice and some carrot juice and eating corn puffs, where he's sitting doing this tonight. And wondering, how are we getting there again? Where's the game plan for this? Because that's what I do think about when I see Machado alternately make an error that blows a double play ball and then hit a home run to win the game, which I saw happen all within the course of 45 minutes.
Yeah, I don't get the sense that there's a whole lot of people sitting at home at 8 o'clock at night watching this game trying to figure out how they're going to get there. That does not strike me as something that...
How are we getting our next Manny Machado now that we gave the real one away? I mean, I'm not being a dick, but I mean, come on. I mean, seriously, when's the next time we're getting that kind of ball player around here again? I don't know what to say. I mean, you watch him, and then you're going to watch Scope, and you're going to watch him elbow bump. And isn't it something? Scope and Machado are playing baseball in late October, and John Angelos is counting his money and trying to figure out who's going to replace these guys, who are pretty good, by the way. Now that they're gone, let's all get wistful about they were good baseball players, and there ain't nothing that looks like that hanging around here right now.
Yeah,
or Buck Showalter, for that matter.
I really don't get the sense that that's what's going on. I don't get the sense that the ownership group is, passionate about their team. I think they perceive their job is to find a general manager that will be passionate about it, and that the general manager is the one who has to sit up late at night trying to figure out how to get to the World Series. But my sense is not one that this is what they think about, when they're sitting home watching TV and watching some other team or their ex-players, having success in the playoffs. I don't.
Or waking up in the morning and counting their stocks, which is all that really matters. You know what I mean? Like they have more money, and we've seen what it's done to the government when you put people who have more money than they know what to do with in charge of education, in charge of the government. I mean, there's a whole different level that goes on for uber rich people that I'm only becoming aware of at 50. Like literally, kid from Dundalk, I've hung around these kinds of people forever. But man, when you wake up every morning and you don't have to hump it, and you run a roofing company, and I, have run a small AM radio station that no one listens to for years, and this giant internet thing where everybody hears everything I say and don't say. It is an amazing thing that they're going to bed tonight and somebody in Middle River is just dying that the Orioles suck and it's wrecked their day. I assure you it hasn't wrecked Brady Anderson's day.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. And I think that if you look across all the professional sports, you could probably do a research project that shows the owners who are passionate about their team.
I think Bisciotti went to bed pretty pissed off Sunday night. I legitimately believe not fake pissed off, real pissed off. I mean, I've been around Steve. Steve's a fiery SOB. And Steve feels as bad as you do when they lose on Sunday, probably worse.
Right. I think that there's a direct correlation between when an ownership group has passion. They're asking questions all the time, right? They're holding people accountable. They're challenging them. They're not satisfied. It's not a meeting about the accounting and what the profitability of the team looks like. It's a meeting about how we're going to take the next step because we want to hang a banner. So I think there's a direct correlation. It would be great. I'm sure someone has had to have done that or written a book about it or something. But
like Donald Sterling was the worst owner ever, and then they caught him obviously doing stupid stuff and being an idiot and being a racist and all of that stuff. But there were all those years where the money was just going in his pocket, and that's the way the NBA operated. That you woke up, here was the formula: you spent X, you made Y, you pocketed Z, and so we won 28 games this year. Good, hire the next Elgin Baylor and you go worry about it. I'll be down here in Manhattan Beach counting my money.
But yeah, look at the example of the Packers, right? So every person that works in management there knows that their ownership group, being the fans, is wildly passionate about the team, and they seem to hold themselves to a standard that, isn't always matched by other teams. I think you can go look at Robert Kraft. Like, say what you want about the Patriots, but I bet that guy asks tough questions all the time. Like he's engaged.
Oh, the NFL owners, for the most part, like I'm around them every year, and I see it and feel it and smell it. And Jerry's up in the box hooting and hollering, and Dan Snyder's selling his. By the way, you can get his. I think his mansion's $49 million. I think it was on sale this week down at Potomac. So you can go check that out if you want. But he wants to win. I mean, he's a doofus. He has no people skills. He has no emotional intelligence at all. But he wants to win. And, I mean, I've been around Jeff Lurie for 15 years. He's a pretty good guy. I mean, he plays softball with Larry Rosen in Philadelphia and, in a softball league and is a regular guy. And when you walk up to him, he's, like, sort of normal and talks to you. You know what I mean? Like, and cares a lot and celebrated a lot. And, I want that for my owner. I mean, Leonsis I was around Leonsis after they won. He enjoyed it as much as anybody. It meant something to him.
Right, but how many days a week are they in the office, right? Like, how many times a month are they meeting with general managers and...
Well, to your point, it was Art and David's business. It's Mike Brown's business. For better or worse, he's there every day, Mike Brown, in Cincinnati. Right. Yeah. The Rooney family's another story there, right?
Yeah.
And Jimmy Haslam's not around Cleveland every day, and most people in Berea would tell you that's a good idea.
Well, I don't even know that they have to be there, but I think that showing up and, I think you see Bisciotti out in the, in pictures at training camp, and, he seems to always be there, and he takes an active role, and he holds himself accountable, and he's at press conferences, and, I mean, you don't have any of that with the Orioles. With
Bisciotti, you never ask him a question, and this, look, He's been in my home, right? I mean, we've had beers on a veranda and cigars together. I don't speak to him as much after Ray Rice. I don't know why. He's much more cocooned, and he's much less interested in talking and having relationships with people like me. That's just a fact. But Steve cares a lot. Steve's passionate about it. Steve listens. Steve hears. But more than that, on the professional side of once a year, we get to ask him questions. His answer's never, I don't know.
Right.
He always knows. I mean, and he never fakes it, and I've never caught him in a lie. I mean, I've never caught him in a lie. He has said to me he's a good liar. He said that on video because I asked him why he didn't write a book. He said they'd be all lies, and I said, you're not a good liar? He's like, no, I'm a great liar. And I'm like, well, I've never caught him lying, where the baseball thing for 25 years, it's been one big ruse. It's been one big crab shell game, literally, of lies. And people say to me, why did you never go back and kiss the old man's ass and try to get back in? I'm like, A, have you met me? That and who I am. B, what good would it do to go back, like befriending the president of the United States? If he blew smoke up your rectum, he's lying. He lies about everything. So that's been Peter's story. At least the integrity of the Ravens for me, other than the Ray Rice video and who knew and who didn't know, I'm still very dubious about that. But I don't think they lie to the fans. I think Harbaugh lies about the injury report all the time. But from an ownership standpoint, do I have trust with the owner? Do I believe the owner's on the up and up, that the owner's into it for the same reasons I'm into it? I don't know, man. There's 4 leagues, right? And I guess everybody that owns an indoor soccer league like Ed Hale or Carl Delmont, I mean, I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt that the reason they're doing it is they want to win. I mean, they're not doing it to get rich. But in the big sports, that would be an interesting checklist, man. Can we make that our homework by the end of the year, maybe to have some sort of sourced, because I'm sourced, some 538 nerd columns done something on this, right? Like the level of passion of the ownership, right?
I got to believe somebody's done something. And my question is, what responsibility does Major League Baseball have to, root out dispassionate owners because it brings the quality of the overall product down? Because Angelos and the Orioles aren't the only team like that, and I think teams ebb and flow, and even owners may ebb and flow, right?
Look,
so
wanting to win and being committed to
for
win
5 years, and then they get tired and burnt out, or they have some other venture, and they get distracted.
Well, that was Peter. I mean, Peter really wanted to win in the 90s because it would make him a hero. Then he came out, got booed by everybody, went $175 million upside down, and didn't think of this as a public trust anymore. He thought of it as my business. I was $200 million upside down. I pulled the $34 million that no one else had out of their pocket in that courtroom in New York and gave everybody a flying middle finger and said, I'm just going to make as much money as I can make. And that's the way this has gone down the last 15 years. And, and I've witnessed it. I've written about it. Everyone around it would absolutely concur with what happened and the facts. I'm the only one that's kept track of the facts. I pointed that out to Buck last week as well. No one else is keeping track of the truth other than me. So, and the truth right now is, I wonder what they think in New York when they can't get answers as to who's owning and running and making key decisions in Baltimore. I wonder what the codicils have. First off, the codicils were that if you sue your partners, you're in breach of your franchise. If you sue your partners, we will come and take your franchise from you. And I'm sure in every franchise in America from McDonald's down, that if you own a franchise, there's all sorts of things about you not suing the mothership, right?
Sure.
Yeah, well, they have that, and they've been entangled legally for 12 years in an unprecedented way that can only be compared to Al Davis in modern sports, and yet it's not written about or talked about in those terms, and it's only $400 million. That's all, Bill.
Yeah, there's definitely, look, he's a lawyer by trade, right? So I don't think he steps into that arena gently. I think he knows what he got himself into, and it might just be a ploy of extend, drag it out, eventually I'm not going to be here and I won't have to deal with this problem anymore. So,
Well, I can pay you $0 now and fight, and in the end, you'll get less, you'll get worn out. But he's going to die, and the learners are going to be alive, and Major League Baseball holds the cards now because it's come back to the Major League Baseball RNC, that the committee that they have set of owners, and the hammer's allegedly coming down next month at a time when these kids can't have the hammer coming down. No one wants to work for them. They don't know what they're doing. Brady Anderson's out running around sort of pretending to run the show. I mean, it's not good, and I'm watching baseball every night, and baseball's all polished up, and the bunting's out, and Machado's playing here, and Scope's playing there, and Steve Pearce is playing here, and all of that's going on, and we'll watch all that, but I'm not losing sight of the Orioles because the Ravens lost this week in Cleveland, There's plenty of time for both teams, I have plenty of time for everybody, Billy.
Well, all right. I mean, we did probably the one thing that everyone always says is like, well, you have to stop going to the games. You have to stop buying that product. You have to stop going to that restaurant. Like anytime we want to make a statement that, we all say this is what we're going to do. And, they all said the same thing about football, but, the attacks, the things that they did wrong weren't enough to drive enough people away. So it didn't hold. The Orioles could not have gotten a more significant message. Major League Baseball couldn't have gotten a more significant, message. Everyone's on notice that the fan base is almost gone, and dumping the team sort of validates that, right? Because there was no attempt to woo everyone back.
Then they dumped the guy who they put in charge of the turnaround. That's the wow moment, for the Bob Nightingales and everybody that sort of predicted that Duquette was going to survive this. First off, Duquette didn't want to survive it, right? I mean, right. Duquette was brazen in the people he told how unhappy he was here, who told me how unhappy he was here, right? So I never thought he wanted to hang around, but the whole Sarah Huckabee Sanders part of him standing up like Weekend at Bernie's, like the dead cadaver, at the press conferences in August and acting like he's in charge, all that's gone now, right? I mean, right. That's just over with. So, they've pulled the curtain back on the Wizard, and to your point, does anybody in New York give a damn, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know if they do or not. I mean,
when the rats are in the kitchen at the McDonald's, right, and the French fries are served raw, and people are getting sick, and no one's eating there anymore, at what point does the mothership come down to the franchise and say, you're not worthy of running a franchise? You don't, this is a McDougal's, not a McDonald's. That's a pretty good, was it McDougal's? That was what, right? Am I right?
Right. Yeah, that's coming to America. Yeah. My question is, okay, what as a Baltimorean, my only downside, catastrophic risk that we have to avoid is the team moving, right? So unless something happens to make us think that is a viable possibility, then there is no reason to hold back on the amount of disappointed messaging that you get sent. So if you're not at risk for them to take the Orioles, and I don't even know who the next city looks like it would be. But
Portland, Louisville, Buffalo, San Antonio. I mean, that's what you'll hear, but I mean, they still haven't figured it out in Tampa or Oakland yet, right?
Right. So other than the rumor, and I guess maybe if I was the Orioles, well, I don't know. Somebody would benefit by putting that message out.
I know where they're not going, London.
Yeah, right. So
or San Juan. Montreal, by the way, is another one. Montreal wants to get bent over to get a team back, apparently. So,
right.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, we clearly don't have enough Canadians.
Well, UP's an upgrade over the Oriole bird. I'll give you that. Sorry.
I think it'll be interesting to see if Major League Baseball does anything. I don't know. I don't know what they. I mean, it sounds like they have options, but whether they exercise them or do anything about it would be another thing.
Well, I mean, to me, it's part of this. They're going to rule in November. If they want to buy the lads out and find a home for this, then the lads should turn the thing over and say, we want our $1.4 billion or whatever that number is, and it's for them to go figure it out with some guy like John Mogan and find some Steve Bisciotti or some Kevin Plank or some Cal Ripken or some Ollie's Bargain Basement guy or some Bill Miller or some Leg Mason or some, who's the other? The Sinclair guys. I'm sure that would work out great.
Sure.
Those guys are just lovely fellas. Yeah. So anyway, that's the word I'm getting. But hey, we're going to be in Nashville. I turn 50 on Sunday if I get to live that long, and hopefully the Ravens come back to 4-2, and I don't get hung over at the Jack Daniel's Distillery on Monday.
Right. It'll be good.
At least the Yankees can't win the World Series. We got that going for us.
Hey, I got another undefeated team that I'm rooting for right now. So the Calvert Hall varsity volleyball team.
What?
Is 11-0. On their way, man. Special stuff happening. So if you're bored sometime, volleyball is a wildly fun sport to watch, which it didn't really exist when I was in high school for guys. So it's kind of a new thing, and I didn't know all the rules, but yeah.
I watched a lot of volleyball in '84, Flo Hyman, the whole thing. So I played a lot of beach volleyball in the '80s. A way to pick up girls in Ocean City if you played volleyball in the '80s. I figured that out. So that was good. So I did play some volleyball. I've been a little while, right. All right.
It's way more complicated, and there's way more strategy and rules and things going on than I ever knew possible.
I have the volleyball coach off from Coppin. Yeah, I mean, I understand. I get it, man.
I think of it as a fun, cookout game and beach game and stuff like that. And,
get the bruises on the bumps in the sets, bro. Watch out for all that. Tape it up.
It's good stuff.
My son went to the hall, Perry Hall.
Yes.
See you later, Billy.
Good. I like that one, too. Hey,
there you go. Bill Cole's my man, 99 years. Tell me what you do before you go. I want to give you a chance to plug away here.
Commercial roofing contractor, taking care of everything from a leak all the way up to new construction, re-roof schools, shopping centers, malls, things like that. So kind of any time there's a potential water problem related to your commercial roof, we are happy to jump in and help.
Can I ask you a question? I know you're not like a meteorologist like, Norm Lewis or Bob Turk or whatever, but has it really rained more than it's ever rained lately? I mean, you're a roof guy. You'll know better than me, but it feels like, I live in a beautiful place with a beautiful view. It just feels like it's been a little more cloudy than usual.
100%.
Okay,
so
we are getting more precipitation because I don't watch the news because I can't deal with one more murder down the street from where I live. It's not right. Good for me. It's not good for my mojo.
So we're weird roofers. We watch a lot of weather. Like this morning, the first thing I'm looking at is this hurricane because I'm just, weather's fascinating and remnants of it will eventually get to us. So yeah, we passed. This is how extreme the weather's been. We passed the annual rainfall total for, probably BWI is where they probably measure it, but in July. So the annual record for rainfall for a whole year, we crossed over that threshold in July.
No wonder it felt so dry when I was out west.
It's done nothing but rain since July. So, yes, I can assure you that
maybe that's why the peaches taste good. Maybe. Huh?
Maybe why
the peaches taste good. Peaches, yeah. When the water, the trees, the vegetables. I've been getting good veggies even late. I mean, it's October, so. But I'm against climate change. So I did get on a plane to Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago. I'm going to leave you with this, all right? I got on the plane, and a guy in front of me had a black windbreaker thing on, and it had the lettering behind it, like my friends at Strategic Factory would do, the kind of lettering on hats and shirts. And it said, "Make coal great again." So I figured I'd leave you with that, and that's not Bill Cole. That's not C-O-L-E. It was C-O-A-L. Make coal great again.
Right.
So I think I need to get you out to Strategic Factory and get some Make Cole, C-O-L-E, roofing great again. All right, man. We'll stay in touch, and I hope to see you in Nashville on Saturday night over some sort of wet libation. Is that fair to say?
Yep. We're going to do that. I appreciate you, man.
I'll meet you at Merchants on the corner of Broadway and 2nd, and we'll get some catfish platter and some okra together. What do you think? Some cornbread.
Sounds good to me.
We'll live like we're in the South. Bill Cole's my dear friend. He's a Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy. They do solar panels. They do roofs when it's wet out. He has made coal great again, C-O-L-E. But they're 99 years of doing this. They turn 100 next year. We'll be celebrating that. We'll be celebrating my 50th year on the planet Sunday in Nashville. Hope that you're there. We're out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Big thanks to our friends at buyatoyota.com, who I think have been supporting me since I was 25. Bless you, Jay Pivick and friends out at PivNet and Toyota. Appreciate you. Also, brought to you by our friends at Planet Fitness and planetfitness.com, where they bring the morning newspaper to you digitally at 7 a.m. It arrives in your email inbox. You can read it on your phone, wherever you happen to be. Also brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Jockey Club, where they are racing the Maryland Million next Saturday. That is the 20th down in Laurel. Get on down there. There'll be baseball on. The track's happening. You can bet the ponies. Beautiful day out. It's Vegas-y. You're going to love it if you get down to Laurel. See them at Laurel Park. Find them on the front of WNST.net as well as in our morning newspaper. If there is any breaking news at all, you're going to get that first in the WNST text right on your phone. You sign up, you get it first, you know the news first. It's all brought to you by Coons Ford Security Boulevard and Dennis Colazzos. We'll be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, getting you ready for a weekend in Nashville, Tennessee, where I hope the Ravens play better than they did in Cleveland, Ohio. I am Nestor. I am a very available individual. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.